Professors, staff members, and things like that. So they feel this pressure to really not be who they were for the entire 17, 18 years of their existence. Do you know what that, can you imagine what that feels like? You've been doing you for your entire life, then all of a sudden, you get this pressure. You see these different things. You don't know how to necessarily engage these things because no one's telling you how. So you really begin to question who you are. And how does that fit? Here's one of my all-time favorite statements. Let me say this just straight up. Institutions, most predominantly white institutions, really don't care that much about diversity. And if they do care about diversity, it is rooted in fun, food, and festival. The worst example of this, and I get so upset, and everywhere I work, not necessarily Black History Month. Here's the one that always makes me the most upset. The way they treat Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm like, man, are you serious? I'm not Hispanic, but I get so upset the way they treat Hispanic Heritage Month. All the events around, let's get together and have some Hispanic food. That's not teaching the campus about Hispanic history, Hispanic life, their contributions. And to be honest, I think it's crazy because you do it and you have a bunch of white kids running. Which is even a larger slap in the face. Every time I think about it, I think it's crazy. And then when institutions talk about diversity, they talk about diversity in relation to access, not opportunity. So access as in, let's see how many Black and Hispanic kids we can let in at one time. Not necessarily care about if they graduate or not. So that's a different conversation. Because schools will tell you, this is the largest class of African Americans that we ever had. You never hear institutions say, this is the largest class we had to ever graduate. See, if you ever hear institutions say that, believe them. Believe them, because it's the truth. They didn't lie. So the institutional commitment to diversity is, they do it because the federal government say you got to do something. Or at least attempt to. There are some institutions who do a very good job at it. There's some leaders right here in this state. Michigan and Michigan State are probably some of the two most progressive public universities in the United States. Don't get me wrong, they got their issues and their junk, but they are amazingly progressive, especially the University of Michigan. You know, the University of Michigan, they, as being as elite as they are, they do a pretty good job in recruiting urban students. I used to joke all the time, you know, they didn't recruit students that weren't urban. You know, they would find they used to find the most ghettoest person and bring them to University of Michigan. And they become this new thing, you know. They do a pretty good job in going all around the United States to find people. Institutional commitment to student success of students of color is hit and miss. Some schools are better than others. To be quite honest, I think liberal arts, and this is just my bias, liberal arts institutions, the small liberal arts schools, the Hope, the Calvins, those schools are probably the best at it. Student success. They're the best at it because when you only have 1,100, 1,500 students in the school, when you begin to lose students, that affects the bottom line. That affects the school money. You know? So retention of everybody is important to them. So they do what they have to do. And I said this before, they have boatloads of money to give away to students. Because for one, they're trying to change their public perception that no one wants to come there. No one of color wants to come there. So when you get that little mailer from Hope, don't throw it away. I mean, I'd much rather if you get the mailer from Adrian and just decide to go. But that was a commercial for Adrian College. But here's probably one of the most talked about and discussed parts of the literature of what students say. They all complain of being a representative of their race while they're in class. It's probably something that they all talk about. Especially if you go into the hard sciences. So if you're trying to be an engineer, anything in engineering, you will probably be one of the few students in your space. The entire process. On top of that, the professors that you may have that look like you will be not that much at most predominantly white institutions in the Midwest, not that many. It is one of the main reasons why students say, I got to get out of here and go to Alabama State. Seriously. I don't know. HBCUs and PWIs do this weird dance where they just exchange students, you know, in which PWIs get students who start off at HBCUs and don't do well, so they come to the local PWI, the local smaller PWI. Then you have students who go to the large PWI and find out this thing is crazy. I need to get with some black folks. Yeah, it's crazy. Almost every college and university struggles with the next one. They do not have enough people of color of influence at predominantly white institutions. Most schools just do not. I can literally sit here and name the black presidents of PWIs, Hispanic presidents of PWIs, Asian presidents of PWIs. It's almost like the amount of black senators we ever had. It's crazy. So let me get this straight. We're about what? African Americans and Hispanics make up almost about 25% of our population, give or take, 25 to 27%. Okay, now there are not 25 to 27% of these people who run these schools. Do you understand the president of an Ivy League institution, the first black president of an Ivy League institution was only about 7 years ago? Ruth Simmons at Brown. 7 years ago. And most of these schools have been around since the 1656 for Harvard all the way to whatever the youngest one, Brown. That's crazy. So you have a large cadre of individuals who do not understand what it takes, really, to educate people of color. Then when you even get to the vice president level, there's not even a lot of vice presidents. So for example, the University of Cincinnati is very unique because they have a black vice president of student affairs and they have a black dean of students. That's like unheard of. It's unheard of. Most of the people of color in higher ed, especially on the staff side, work in a few places. Residence life, the Office of African American Student Affairs, Intercultural Affairs, Minority Affairs, whatever you want to call it, and admissions. So let me tell you how this plays out. We need some of these spaces to go get the students. Then we need some of these spaces to support students once they get here. Oh, and we also need some of them to make sure they don't tear up the residence halls. Now think about how that plays out. I want somebody to tell me and show me a person of color who works in finance at one of these institutions. I've been looking for them. I put it out to my colleagues all the time. Somebody please tell me where one of these folks are at. Here's what